To moderate this very important discussion, we are pleased to invite Mr. Rahul Shah, Senior Vice President, Strategic Growth and Business Development, APAC, Middle East and Asia, our Corp. Let's welcome Mr. Rahul Shah with a nice warm round of applause. Welcome, sir. So you're getting us green with envy looking at this impeccable style of yours. And I would request you, sir, if you would kindly welcome and greet all our panelists who will be joining you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we take the privilege of inviting up on stage Air Vice Marshal Partho Gangopadhyay, VSM Assistant Chief of Air Staff, Indian Air Force. Let's give him a nice warm round of applause and welcome him up to the stage. We'd also like to welcome Professor Dr. Manoj Choudary, Vice Chancellor, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Let's give him a nice warm round of applause and welcome him. Thank you for joining us, sir. Gentlemen, we request you to kindly be seated as per the order of your names on the screen. Thank you so much. We would also like to invite Mr. Saket Chaturvedi, CEO, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Nashik. Let's give him a nice warm round of applause and welcome him. Thank you for joining us, sir. We'd also like to welcome Mr. S.K. Dash, Group Chief Strategy Officer, Engineering Air India. Let's give a nice warm round of applause and welcome him. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We would like to welcome Mr. Sharad Agarwal, CEO, AI Engineering Services Limited. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir. We would also like to welcome Mr. Lars Moeslein, Senior Vice President, Corporate Sales, HAECO. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us. And finally, we would like to welcome Mr. Anubhav, Kumar, Head of Strategy and Policy, Boeing, India and Southeast Asia. Welcome, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us. And with that, we also have amongst us, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anwar Al Nasser, Deputy VP Sales of Joraco. He's joined us here. Thank you so very much, sir. Please join us and take a seat. And with that, we'd like to hand over to a moderator of this session, Mr. Rahul Shah. We're looking forward to this discussion.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I still have empty chairs yet. Anyway, well, I would like to welcome you all for these panel discussions, which is going to be a very important topic for the session and for India. So I will talk a little bit about it, just set the stage up, and then we'll have questions coming up on the screen, and then I'll ask the panel member to get into that. So, good morning, distinguished guests, panelists, industry colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome you to the technical forum focused on one of the most critical pillars of aviation safety and performance. We're not going to talk about heavy maintenance because that's already been talked about. We're going to talk about what is required and what is next for the next 5 years. And that's going to be on component MRO and engine MRO, and that's going to be the focus of our discussion with the panel members. India today stands at a defining inflection point in aviation. We are one of the fastest growing aviation market globally, operating fleets powered by advanced engines like for CFM International, Pratt & Whitney, Rolls-Royce, and supported by airframe from Airbus and Boeing. But fleet growth does not define maturity. What defines maturity is this: can we maintain, repair, overhaul, and support these assets at global standards, completely safely and at scale with our own ecosystem? Engine MRO is just another segment of aviation maintenance. It represents the highest technical complacency, the highest capital intensity, and arguably the highest safety criticality. Every hot section repair, every life-limited parts Every boroscope findings has direct implication for reliability, cost, and most importantly, safety in the skies. Globally, we are witnessing extended engine shop schedule and turn times, supply chain bottlenecks, durability challenges to the new gen engines, increased OEM control over technical data and proprietary tags. This realities raises important strategic question for India. Are we building full engine shop capability, or are we still largely depending on overseas partners? Are we moving up the value chain in proprietary component support repairs? Are we integrating proactive analysis, productive maintenance, and MRO workflow, or are we reacting? India has the engineering strength. India has the fleet scale. India has policy under Make in India. The real question is, can we align regulations, OEM partnership, infrastructure investment and development, and skill development quickly enough to capture this opportunity ahead of us? Because this is not just about saving or foreign exchange tension. It is about building a resilient aviation ecosystem, reducing aircraft on ground time, enhancing reliability, and strengthening global confidence in Indian MRO. Over the next hour, I encourage you, our panelists, to be candid, forward-looking, and solution-oriented. Let's make beyond incremental improvements that could define the next decade of engine and component MRO in India. If we get this right, India will just be a large aviation, not just a large aviation market, it will be a global MRO hub. Thank you, and let's begin the session. I would encourage the question 1 to come on the slide, please. Thank you. So the first question becomes, India has seen periodic technical reliability concerns across all the major airlines. Are these isolated operational issues, or do they reflect deeper ecosystem gaps in training, MRO depth, or supply chain resilience? That's the question for the panel. Who wants to take the question? Lars?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. And it's a good question. I was thinking about that. What is the major issue? I think quality is all about people. So the core of quality is people with a passion to work for a safe and for a quality environment. So for me, to answer that question is, if we get the people in a mindset where they concentrate on quality, concentrate on a daily basis, think about safety, you have the basement to improve your quality, your reliability. Everything else on top, when we talk about regularities, when we're talking about technology, when we're talking about paperwork, is to secure that basement. So from my point of view, the area to focus on is really the people, people's mindset, people's training, and people's, let's say, passion to work in that industry to make it better and to make it safer.
All right, thanks, Lars. Who wants to? Dash, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so we have asked multiple questions into one actually. So it's not one question. So if you see on this reliability factor, it is starting, as you rightly mentioned, is multiple facets of this one you have to put into different verticals. One is the reliability of the components, reliability of the maintenance standards, the quality of the people, and above all, I would like to put the human factors into it. When you talk about the human factors and everything, that there is an underlying pressure on delivering the aircraft on time. And that comes on the various factors, whether you are having sufficient time for this one, or you are under undue pressure to release the aircraft at a certain point of time, or it is a supply chain issue. Even if you want to do it, whether you are able to do it or not. And we know that with the supply chain, even if you go for the upgraded parts, those upgraded parts are not available. You want to spend money, you want to do it, but it's not there. So what you can do, you still fly with the old standard, different standard part numbers. At the same time, whenever you are doing on the predictive maintenance or the preventive maintenance or even the prognostic, so you know that it is going to come up, but are there enough supply chain which is going to cover you for that replacement of the part? And we are talking about it here, not only one part or two part, it's so many hundreds of parts. And when you are talking about the multiple freights where the freight strike is 300, 400, you would like to take that as an ongoing basis. So if you don't come out with the complete system, whether it's the quality standard, the availability of the part, the supply chain at the right time, the maintenance time, or the time to what you need to spend on those aircraft, it doesn't come through, then you can see all these polyet instances. So I will not put into one single phase, but it is on the various factors that comes into together when you talk about these things. So we need to work on each and every vertical to accommodate how to take it step by step. And that's perhaps my answer to that question.
Great answer, Dash. And like he pointed out, it's not one unique requirement. It has to be combined of all those four aspects and making sure that you're combining all the strength to make it a safer and proper environment. Yes? Let's do that. Okay. Can we give a mic to Asmita, please? One of them. Sure. Oh, I like this.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I got it.
This is a very pertinent question. As you said, this is much deeper. To look at the recent air crashes, and I'm speaking a little strongly, Lion Air, Indonesian Airlines, which is the 737 MAX, and the most recent one in India, unfortunately have all been in third world countries, and therefore they clearly raise the issue of maintenance, repair, overhaul, capital spend on these areas, training. Are we up to world standards to get those MROs into India? And here I'm talking of especially engine MROs. That's a huge question. We all need to sit down and answer and find the solutions and take this forward.
Thank you, Asmita. Appreciate your comment. Your question will be answered. All right, so can you go to the second question, please? So this is all about AI, right? I mean, it's a digital technology. The world is going fast speed on AI and how India's aviation market is absorbing this. So the question becomes, how we do transition from a compliance-driven safety approach to a data-driven safety culture and leveraging AI, digital technology, and trying to be more predictive maintenance rather than proactive maintenance. And that's the question, is highlight on that. Who wants to take it? Yes, Abhinav.
Yeah, I could take that, Rahul. I think one of the things that our industry continues to learn is AI or whatever analytics is very core and integral part of how we see the industry evolving from a future perspective. Whether it is defense or commercial platforms, when we work on let's say the PBLs or the sustainment for Apache and Chinook, which are platforms in the vertical lift category, there is a lot of data that goes into demand planning, especially with respect to spare parts and the parts that we do, because we manage the entire PBLs there. There is a lot of data that goes into demand planning. There is a lot of data that goes into predictive maintenance and ideologies, because every AOG costs significantly just in terms of the criticality of the defense services. So that is an area where there is a lot of work doing. Is that enough? No, I think there is a continuous learning journey, because with the latest language learning models that are coming up, there is more and more data that can be integrated and synthesized, and that can improve it. Similarly, on the commercial side, I think we as Boeing, we do have airplane health management. We do have predictive solutions which are modeled to enable us to forecast our parts better, to forecast downtime better, and we work with our customers constantly to ensure that, data is both shared and it is also worked in a manner where we are minimizing the AOG. So I think it's a constant journey. I would not say that with the latest advancements of AI which have happened in the last 12, 18 months, there is more that can be done just in terms of synthesizing a lot more data points, both structured and unstructured data that could go into helping, better airplane management.
All right.
Hello everyone. So Rahul, I would like to take it from a cultural point of view here also. I mean, we're talking AI, and just culture is a vital element here, because I mean, using the data in a very constructive and positive way is much better than just the error catching. So I mean, if we cascade this to the staff, this would also help the natural and positive reporting using these information. Also, would like to talk about the using data when you have a scheduled maintenance. So scheduled maintenance normally is a scheduled maintenance, but using data is very important to transfer this data even prior the work commence into a real project that will lead to success.
I mean, listen guys, I mean, we all know that new engines, new aircraft, dissipating a lot of data every seconds when they operate in the skies. The real question lies, how is this data being utilized, how is data being analyzed, and whether that information is being translated into predictive maintenance and how it's impacting the airline. Anyone else? Yes, please.
In fact, am I audible? I hope I am audible here. Looking to this particular data, when we talk of AI, the most important, are we able to capture the data? With the experience of the defense, what I have, fortunately in defense, we are the only agency and we get every kind of data. Whether the event is happening at the base or it's happening in our place during MRO is there. And we have found that it just, if an AI is put and whatever we have analyzed, we are able to pinpoint the cause behind it. And when we are able to pinpoint the cause, we are able to reach the maximum occurrence of that particular thing, and we can probably look into the design part of it, which is being done. So in the civil domain also, this is going to be extremely useful. The only thing is here that various agencies who are doing the MRO work, maybe a major repair or a minor repair or some small event, that needs to be captured certainly, because data is going to be useful to everyone. So I think this is a very good question. There is a lot of work which can be done. And AI of course will definitely help, but before that we have to make AI to learn what we are doing, and we should have a good database. I think we should have one place where every data gets captured.
Thank you. Thank you. We have some defense dignitaries here, and I would like to pose a question on defense MRO, how you guys utilizing AI, data, how you can analyze for your maintenance. Is that if you can throw some light for the audience?
Of course, thanks a lot for the question. Actually, the customer is supposed to come first, but the end user out here has kind of surfaced only on the third and fourth question. But anyway, I just wanted to bring out that AI is the buzzword of today. Whatever you package, you wrap it up within the word or the phrase is called AI, and it's kind of expected to sound impressive. But let's be very frank. This is the time with this maturity of this forum. We are here not to be diplomatically correct, politically correct, but actually put the facts on the table. Let me start it, and whatever I say is purely my personal connotation. It's not to be taken as organizational connotation. The AI that we are talking about, or rather the question as it has been put, we are reactive today. And let's be very frank, we will continue to be so in at least 5 to 6 years. The way the trends are emerging, the audits today we see as the study of papers, documents and trends, whatever has happened in the past. The way to actually handle the situation is to predict the future failures based on the data. We are at extremely primitive and nascent stage at that. we need assistance of the industry to come up with solutions which are pragmatic, which are absolutely rooted to the ground and not promissory in nature. Yes, it has started, the efforts have started, but the results are extremely minuscule to begin with. We are looking at times to come, in the years to come, where it will actually contribute to the setup in giving us meaningful output for not reactive but predictive introspection and repair. Thank you.
Nice perspective. One of the defense angle.
In an industry where safety always and safety first is an absolute principle, and at the same time the use of new technologies that are emerging that you highlighted of AI. In fact, today the biggest debate in AI world also is whether AI systems are trusted. So there is a big focus on trusted AI. Of course, I am not talking only of the ethical AI, I am talking trusted AI, responsible AI. Being assistive in nature is also not a purely reactive approach. You do not merely have to take everything that comes from AI only to act and then call ourselves as correct. If we are able to derive insights based on data-driven approaches and to be able to act in time, is also something that is very, very important, rather than purely relying on AI in a purely proactive manner that AI will suggest everything, AI will do everything. We may be away from that, not only in this industry, but because of AI systems themselves. First point. The second point is that in terms of usage that we talked about, when different transportation mechanisms, including railways, they also are very, very dependent and have the similar kind of focus on safety first and safety always. They are also moving strongly, leveraging digital twins on how they can monitor various aspects, on predictive asset maintenance, on many of the aspects, leveraging AI for example, in MRO operation for better inventory management is also an important aspect which can have, or better resource forecasting is another aspect, very, very important. So in many of these aspects, of course, AI shall be used, but reliability is still, we have to depend a lot more on how accurate AI systems are.
Yeah, as you said, that AI data, I will put into two parts. One is the new generation record and the old generation record. The new generation records are coming with a lot of data which is getting transmitted and they are on the live dashboards. And the old generation where you have to collect the data, then analyze. So there are two different platforms where you need to work on. And when I'm talking about the new generation data, perhaps some of the use cases we have already done, I mean to go to the extent of the tire wear. That's not something you can measure. But you can put into the system to figure it out when it is going to come on the real-time basis based on how many landings you are doing, and AI actually can predict it to the absolute, to the point when you are actually required to replace them. And some of the use cases perhaps you can see on our booth as well. We do that, and if you can go to the area booth, you can see that. So what I'm trying to say, the AI is an intelligence tool which is available. The best is how you are going to use it. That's more important. If you can use it to the particular level, then definitely it is going to help us on the reliable and the safer for everything on that one. So my limited point is divided into two parts. One is like what happened, then analyze. One is what you are getting, analyze. Like what Anubhav was talking, the HM, SHM, the Skywise, they go into that same system where you get the real-time data. That's what is my limited point over there.
Great point, guys. I'm going to come to you later, okay? Just wait for me. Can you do another question, please? Thank you. So now we come to the crux of the matter, right? One of the biggest challenges here about engine maintenance and component maintenance and how we evolve ourselves to become a global leader in trying to not only satisfy airlines in India, but at the same time abroad. So the next question is focused on engine MRO and component MRO, how we proactively look at it with tie-up with OEM or third-party MRO and trying to increase our MRO setup for motor repair and engine MRO. So who wants to take it? Sharad?
Today, the reach of MRO in India is just about 15%. Remaining 85% is going up. One of the major reasons is lack of presence, lack of serious presence in engine and component markets. India has not been able to build the latest capabilities as far as engines and components are concerned. Excepting maybe the Safran's own MRO which is coming up. The key lies in tie-up with OEMs. The OEMs have been guarding their data, their IPR, and absolutely everything. With the growth in the aviation market, India is reaching a scale where a tie-up with OEM for building a capability in India is feasible now. So it's time that we need to move in this direction and start building these capabilities.
Okay, thanks, Sharad. The question becomes, $1 million question becomes, how do we get from a status quo of waiting for OEM or other partners to come in and do it? So my question becomes, what are the steps, what are the strategies we need to adopt for the next 3 to 5 years, so when all the aircrafts are coming in 2,000, 3,000 by 2030, how we can be self-sufficient in ecosystem within India? That's the question. So, Abhinav, other guys?
And maybe to answer it from an independent MRO point of view. So what makes us attract to India? Why would we come to India? Why would we invest into India? There's a lot of players who need to get on the table. So we have OEMs with license restrictions, especially on the engine side. So there's a limited amount of license for LEAP engines, for example, you can acquire per region. India still is a dominant leased engine, leased aircraft market. So we definitely need to bring the lessors on the table who are working with lists of allowed MRO places around the world and not allowed MRO places around the world. So we need to have this discussion together with the OEMs, with the lessors, with the airlines. And then of course, volume is here. That's not a question. We heard it before, there's like 4,000 aircraft plus. We talk about 8,000 to 10,000 engines in the future. So the volume is absolutely here. The appetite of MROs to invest is absolutely there. I think what is missing is the support from the OEMs, the understanding of the lessors, supply chain infrastructure, which we talked about, and some hurdles of taxation, some hurdles to get into the market and have an independent ownership of this MRO facility within India. So these are, I would say, the main concerns from an independent MRO point of view.
Okay. Before you start, I want to make sure that we're distinguishing this question to two pillars. One is for legacy fleet. I mean, we have enough legacy fleet in India, which we don't do a lot of components in-house, so I would like to address that. Plus the new generation, which Lars rightly pointed out, has been detected by the OEM proprietary repair. So I want you guys to take that two aspects.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. I think the perspective that we need to understand is when we talk of OEM, so let's say Boeing as an OEM, right? Whether it is the wide body fleet that we have, 787, or the narrow body fleet that we have, whether it's the MAX or the engines, right? Our structure of whenever we launch a new airplane, and at least in the recent past, has been that we as an OEM or an airframe integrator, we don't hold most of the IPs on repair. That's just the structure. It's all with our tier ones who are also, from an MRO perspective, they can also be your OEMs, but that's primarily your guys like Honeywell, Collins. That's where there is the maximum MRO that happens. So that's one clear distinction that, if Boeing wants, I don't think we have, other than the landing gear, any other IP that exists. So even if I want, I can't push or force. That's just one part. The second part is, while we continue to say, and this I am saying on behalf of multiple interactions that I have with lessors and even the tier ones, while we continue to say that there is a lot of growth which is happening, we have to also understand and appreciate that we are lagging by almost 10 years when a lot of these investment decisions were being taken by the large tier ones, whether it is GE, whether it is Honeywell, because when they put in their large MRO facilities, they put those in locations which were amenable from a taxation and ease of doing business, whether it was Dubai and Singapore. So here we are at a juncture where we want to grow MRO. It's the right thing for Indian fleet. It's the right thing from a turnaround time perspective. But again, when you go to a tier one, they will say that the business case does not get closed at the number that we are. So what leaves us with an option, really practical option? We can keep talking, for multiple days how we navigate. But the practical option is really doing a matchmaking exercise where if there is either an independent MRO or an airline-backed MRO who has access to the licenses and IPs, and see if there is a marriage that can happen with an Indian MRO who understands the Indian ecosystem, how to work. That sort of a marriage is what will only accelerate us down that path. That's just a more, pragmatic view of how to get things done at this point of time.
You're right on, man. Right on. And one of the next, my question to you was, would the airline would have enough bandwidth, enough leveraging to push this portion of business in India, and asking OEMs and other partners to give those licenses to whoever. If they go with independent MRO, whoever they partner with, do you think that would be a leveraging position?
Yeah, and again, that is really for an airline to decide. But what we do as we support or as we work with, whether it is our customers in India or outside, for example, India, we do give access to a lot of our CMMs, a lot of our, as part of the My Boeing fleet, a lot of that access. It is the prerogative of the airline then to see that, which is the right MRO, whether they want to do it themselves and then partner with them. But yeah, so far as OEMs are concerned, we do continue to support wherever we are within our rights.
All right, thanks. I want to touch on defense, right? You have a lot of Western fleet now, and a lot of components still go out, right? So can you share with us what would be the plan from defense angle and how you proceed to do that?
Of course, actually you brought out the issue of leveraging. I must say that, and place it on record, that Government of India has now made it mandatory that whatever which are defense deals that we enter with any foreign OEM, especially of the Western origin, the substantial part of MRO capabilities have to be brought into India. And when they talk about the transfer of technology, it is not confined to just assembly, but definitely brings out the repair science, manufacturing of sub-assemblies, calibrations, testing processes, which actually empowers the whole thing. When we spoke about the Western fleet, yes, more than 90% of the Western fleet as on today is supported by the foreign OEMs. But concepts have been developed where Indian Air Force has their fourth line setups called base repair depots. We have started propagating and advocating a model called the embedded model, where we provide the industry the infrastructure, the tooling, the testing facility, and thereafter we encourage you to join the resources which are at our disposal, share the designs and drawings that we have, build up the skill, and enable the repair so that you don't have a high capital cost for entry. So efforts like these are being made, and I am sure HAL, Saket sir will also share it with you. HAL is also now looking for a great amount of outsourcing, not because of the capacity constraints, but because of the sheer intent of encouraging the Indian industry coming to military defense. Such kind of outsourcing where the initial training is provided by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, with their expertise, will definitely encourage the Indian industry to have a revenue positive and nationally effective model for MR.
would like to add on this. We were talking about engines. I know engines is the place where we are really lagging behind, someone panelist has just brought it out. You know that when we talk about fighter aircraft, we have been manufacturing engines from more than 3 decades. And when it comes to civil, we are hardly able to do everything. We are dependent on the OEMs. I think here we have to look into, I don't mean the entire engine MRO to be done at the first go. Of course, some OEMs have already come forward. But some part of the engine, the repair, we should have a very strict clearance. Yes, to this extent, Indian companies can do with the experience what we have of defense. That should be a big thing, and we can reduce a lot of AOG, what we see a lot of aircraft on ground at the various airports. I think that can be substantially reduced. Though it is a very balanced approach, there's a lot of walking that very difficult, what should be allowed, what should not be. I think there has to be very clear guidelines that this is what is possible to be done and can be done. And just for the information, everyone under Make in India, the AL-31 FP engine of Sukhoi 30, the entire raw material we are trying to develop in India right from this point. So a lot of initiatives are there. So we will have a lot of material available in India. And we know the machining and processing is not at all a problem for us. So it's only the OEMs to come forward and allow us to do the work, or maybe the regulatory mechanism should allow to do some job in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, I want to emphasize this, guys. I know we're talking about OEM. There is a lot of independent MROs out there who's ready to jump in and do a lot of stuff here. So I just wanted to make a point to the audience and the panel member. Lars is smiling already, and he's ready to jump in as well, and I will be as well. So the next question is depending on, we got a lot of calls from regional, every state wants to have an MRO in India, okay? I think we ought to be able to coordinate this properly, because you can't have this stupid amount of wealth in an MRO, which every state wants to do, which is not going to give you the leverage and the scale you want, right? So this question is kind of targeted on that. I get called every 2 weeks by every state to try to see how AR wants to be in the partnership with every state, right? And that's what puzzles me as a government and as a state. I think we ought to be able to focusing on concentrating MRO hubs. Lars, please give me the idea. Or Lars,
I think there's a lot of positive examples in the market. Huh? So Singapore is an aviation hub, Dubai is an aviation hub. So how did they do that? So obviously you have to incentivize investments. You have to be very flexible as a government to attract talents, to attract investors into that sector. That's number one. Number two is you have to build the entire infrastructure. So you have a labor force which is interested to work in the MRO industry, which is learning that in training schools. You have to attract customers, and you have to have like a base load of state airlines who are backing up this growth. So you need to have a launching customer, let's say it this way. Looking into India, when you say, okay, do we have 3 different hubs, 4 hubs? Huh? That really depends on the skill level, depends on your core base load you're going to get in these areas, and it depends on the support you get from the government, which is substantial to actually start that journey.
That's a great one, Lars. I think for audience, you must know, nobody's third-party business or foreign MRO is going to jump in without any base load. Because that's how we put the business cases and try to make investments in India. So having this distributed MROs is going to reduce the scale, and that's going to be less attractive for foreign MRO to come in and see that. And that's why this question I posed. All right, thank you. Lars, you want to do anything?
So, I mean, you have talked about the base load part, but my point would be, what everybody is focusing right now on the MRO section is the airframe check. So if you typically check, the airframe check is only 15 to 16%, not beyond that. So we are typically leaving out 85% of the MRO thought process into somewhere else. So what every state is willing to do MRO, but the focus should be on the complete MRO not on the FM section side. So unless until we come out of that mentality that we need to have an MRO 145, like I get every day almost 2 to 3 calls, everybody wants to do a wheelchair brake shop and develop an MRO for the cabin parts. That's not going to be sustainable and it's not going to have the best growth for this minimum days. So what we need to see, what are the things are unexplored, how to build those things into different states, how to incentivize this. And to one point when we are discussing about, of course, Anubhav is talking, we have been discussing with the CIFL for long many years. So when can we leave out from the mentality of OEM approved repairs to the DR repairs? You people are doing a great job on that. How India can adopt that strategy as from the regulator, from the, whether it's from the SEMILAC or from the regulator, coming to that fold, what are the repairs will be acceptable limit and which can fly on the plane without the involvement of the OEM as well. If we can come to that level, which you need to start thinking now, we should have been thinking this one 10 years back. We have not done that. So if you start thinking on that, perhaps in the next 10 years we will be somewhere where you can leverage this capability. That would be my limited point of it.
Great point, I agree with you. I know we are lag behind, but now we got a fresh start, right? So we cannot go back, we got to go forward. And that's why we're going to start looking at that. So, well, that comes to our next question, which is very important. In order for us to grow our independent MRO in India, you need to have a qualified maintenance technicians working on your parts, components, airframe, engines. And I would like to ask the panel members some of the thought process, some of the initiatives they've been doing in building the training, academia, trying to figure out how we can raise the bar as far as our engineers and technicians and how we can deploy those into Indian MRO when we need them. So, maintenance engineers, how can industry and academia collaborate to build a future-ready technical workforce? Lars, you want to take it?
Okay, so this is a very, very important question, and it is only in recent times and the need of the times that you see academic people sitting in this holiday and talking this aspect, and that is why it is a very important topic. Let us begin with the first fundamental question. Is MRO an aspirational career for a common person in India? Is it one of the top 10 or top 20 career choices of our youth? If it is not so, what should we do so that it becomes? First question. I am trying to raise the questions for the industry. The second question is, today we are not in a situation where we can do incremental things. We are very rapidly growing our MRO market, and therefore we need to have big scales. That means the scale of operations is big. The number of MRO players in the country are growing. The need for aircraft maintenance engineers, technicians is growing. There are many different players in the country who are trying to do things in isolated manner. Therefore, the whole of the sector approach has been led. The third aspect is the AMEs and people who have been working in the field. When we ask them, what do they lack the most? Most of the situation it comes that we are not even graduates. Therefore, I am not only talking of social stigma, and many of them have, by the way, talked to that also. There are many of these aspects. Therefore, the need of the hour is a standardized, large, uniform curricula that caters to a large segment, possibly a graduation scenario, working with the industry. So some of the steps what we have done, I can definitely refer from Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, that's the Central University for Transport sector. We want to focus on where the national priority is. That is firstly a mindset change. So we do not want to have course curriculums that we believe are good. We want to do what is needed. So if MRO is an important sector for us, firstly we looked at what aeroplane makers like Airbus and Boeing do. So we have a big partnership with Airbus. Then we looked at what are the engine makers need. So when Safran set up their engine MRO facility, the one of the first engine MRO facility, our course curriculum is prepared by Airbus, also in line with Safran. Today we announced partnership with MRO from GRO Aerotechnic. We visited on our own. As a Vice Chancellor, I took time and initiative to also visit base repair depot of Indian Air Force. Therefore, what we are trying to do, and very soon, I am saying very, very soon, we shall announce, working with regulators, a uniform curriculum for entire AME sector for the country. And also a framework in which all AMEs in the country can get a graduate degree for aircraft maintenance engineering, therefore making MRO career as an aspirational career. So working with the industry, listening to their requirement, not only listening but involving them as part of curriculum design, involving them as part of curriculum delivery, involving them as part of practical experiences, working with regulator to make sure that everything we do is compliant to the regulations, and therefore the people who graduate are industry ready and employable on day one. So this is something that we want to do. We want to do more at the national level, and I invite all the players, and that is the primary reason for me to come here, and invite all the players in the MRO sector that at national level let us have a uniform curriculum and an approach which is whole of the sector approach to build human capital for the entire MRO sector.
Thank you. Please, and that's for you now.
I would like to add what Professor Dr. Choudary has told. Recently we were looking for some technician. As you all know, HAL is now entering in the civil domain. We are planning to manufacture one civil aircraft 100-seater in India. So we were looking for certified AMEs. It was a big challenge. Where do we place them? They are technicians, they are not engineers. So as per our government guideline, we take them as a technician level. It is not paid, so it is not very attractive. And we don't equate them with a graduate engineer. So we have to look for a combination of both. So I think this is a very good initiative. We should have a very standard curriculum, and they should be at par with at least a graduate, so they are recognized and it is one of the preferred career they choose, which is not the case today. So I just support what has been done.
SK has a lot of initiatives with Air India on training. I would like to highlight him.
Actually, I would like to take on that part. So when we look into, I will briefly talk about this one, why we are lacking talent in this field. One is, of course, as you mentioned, the graduation and the employability. Are you giving a guaranteed employability to these kids who are passing out? Because right now we see the people, those who have done through these courses, they are sitting idle and they are forced to look after other options, and they find that it's not a graduation, so they are not getting other options as well. So what we have started in India, we have started AME cadet program. That cadet program means we are taking them and we are giving sort of them guaranteed job. Once they pass it out, they will have a job in their hand. Unless until you give that guarantee, nobody is going to come to you. And remember, nobody from the tier 1 is going to come to you because nobody wants to get blue collar job anymore. So you need to look at the tier 2, tier 3, where you need to fix this one, going out and giving them, okay, you come to where, you start the job, and we have actually started this cadet program almost 1 year back, and we have taken cadets, putting in the different institutes, who after pass out will be having a guaranteed job in Air India. And if they complete all the modules, definitely we will be giving them the type training to become a type-rated engineer as well. Unless until you give them show them the career pathing from day 1 to at the end of the course curriculum, no, you will never get it. Unless until the whole industry looks in that direction, how to place the people, once you give it, grow them, give them the specific training. Suppose you are doing an engine shop, and you don't have to teach them and to make them an expert in NDT. Perhaps they need to be trained on for the engines, so that straightway they can get a guaranteed job in the engine shop. Unless until you take that approach, it's not going to happen. So we have started that one, and as you know that we are developing a BMTO facility again in Bangalore in line with our MRO vision. The people coming out from the BMTO state will be absorbed in the MRO and the Air India, of course, the requirement is quite high. And even with that, what I see in the 5 years, we will be still running short of the requirement. So we need to start from here itself, how to put all these people, and if you show them the visibility after 4 years, we are going to be here with this qualification, this is your future. I think that can happen in the industry.
And I think that's a great strategy, SK, for you to create the pipeline for the growth of the airline coming up and then maintenance setup you guys doing in Bangalore. So that's a great strategy. I think everyone needs to look at the same thing. Last question. I know we have time up and everybody's looking at me right now. Project to 2035. I'm going to ask each of you to tell me one out of this, okay? What is the single most risk to safer skies in India? Either regulatory capacity, talent shortages, supply chain fragility, or financial pressure on airline? Just one. Yes, sir.
Well, as they say, the weakest link of the system will become the cause of the failure. So all of them are actually equally balanced as far as I am concerned, in my opinion. But yes, in case I am asked to point out one individually, supply chain fragility is something that has affected us in the past and may affect us in the future. So till the time that is addressed, I guess the system can be expected to be safe.
Excellent. Next, please. Only one. One factor.
I think talent will become a critical part as we go ahead. That is one bottleneck.
Next is talent. Good job. How about you, sir?
Right, I will take it a human factor. Our habits. We have to stick to SOPs without any compromise.
Okay, thank you. Raj. It's like a rapid fire.
I believe you have to take excellence in every factor, whatever you do. Quality.
Quality. Excellent. Sharad.
Yeah, I would put the availability of skill set. While we can have number of licensed engineers, number of certified technicians, the people with experience who have the skill set to be working on the aircraft, to be able to deliver the aircraft efficiently.
Yeah, I stick to my guns. What I said at the beginning, talent. It's all about human factor. We talk about safety, quality.
Okay, thanks. Abhinav.
Supply chain. I think I would go with supply chain because there is more aging fleet at this point of time.
Excellent.
And we see that for the next few years as we improve.
Other parts, you can do anything. All right. How about you, man?
So I'll go with the talent shortages.
Talent shortages,
all
okay.
the dynamics and the forecast for the upcoming periods.
Okay, that's great. So we got 3 from supply chain, all of them is talent. So there you go, guys. What's important to be safer skies is 2 main factor: talents, supply chain. Great job. Well, that comes to the end of this session. I know the organizers are looking at me now, so I got to get off the stage. But thank you, audience. I think you will be very great in participating. I know some of the questions, we can do it later in the session. You can approach any one of us. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to applaud all the panelists for the session.
Indeed, a huge round of applause, and thank you so very much, gentlemen, for that very insightful, compelling discussion.